First and second Captain Circle winner?
Yes.
All right. Then may I bring Dave Molesworth to the stage to announce Captain Circle inductions for 2025.
Come on. First of all, I'm obviously up here because Brett Jones could not make it this year, unfortunately, but he did ask me to pass along his congratulations to tonight's inductees, so congratulations. The idea of a Hall of Fame for the University of Tennessee is not new. The idea had been floating around for years, but in 2016, a special Confederacy of Idiots decided to lean in and try to put it together. And when we did, the idea was that we want to celebrate the best among us. And obviously, performance on the pitch is a big part of that, but we really also want to focus on who guys become after they leave here. Hopefully, not true in all cases, but hopefully most of us do become better versions of ourselves as we get a little bit older, get out of college. Tonight, we have 3 inductees into the Captain Circle that I think serve as great examples of what I'm talking about. All of them were tremendous players while they were here at Tennessee, but it's their off-the-pitch accomplishments that are even greater. We've got military service, we've got industry leaders and entrepreneurs, and we also have skills builders, even rugby field builders. We're proud of their service, and we're proud of their dedication to others. So for the first introduction tonight, I'd like to welcome a member of the Captain Circle. He is also, to those of us that had the honor of knowing him and playing with him, he's America's Eagle, Rob Farley.
Good evening. See if this works. Yep. I will say that this is the 40th anniversary of my last banquet as a student at UT. So yeah, what Scott was saying earlier about friendships that last a lifetime you make, it is true, because we're back 40 years later. Hopefully you guys who graduate this year will be back 40 years from now and inducting one of your friends into the Hall of Fame, or the Captain Circle. And tonight it's my great honor to introduce Robert David Ball, also known as Bob, Bobby, Cowboy Bob, or just Cowboy. Bob came to UT from Clarksburg, Tennessee, out of Northwest High School, where he played football and wrestled. He said he played on the defensive line, offensive line, and he somehow also got stuck at cornerback, which may explain why they only won 1 game his senior year. But I suspect his offensive and defensive performance were better on the line. He enrolled at UT in 1982, living in Hess Hall, where he was invited out to practice, which many of us were at the time, by our fellow old boy Pete Petrakis in the spring of 1983. And from there, he never looked back. He played rugby, competitive rugby, for the next 34 years all over the world. He played across the front row, both sides of the scrum, the hooker, and was one of the hardest players I ever knew. Memories still of Bob, after breaking his nose in 1 game, came back the next week and decided that he would tape his nose with athletic tape just around his head and his nose, and thought it would hold, and of course it was gone in 5 minutes. His mother was aghast, and Bob let her know that he was going to be all right, and he kept playing. So That is one of my favorite memories of Bob. Bob was also at the Ag campus in the Ag school, and he had access to irrigation pipes and systems, and so when we played on the parking lot, also known as Fulton Bottoms, we would go down on Friday afternoon, and Bob would hook the pump into the creek and pipes onto the field, and we would basically flood the field so it'd be soft enough on Saturday to play on without separating your shoulder just by a mere fall. Bob was a standout as a player. He was a captain, he was president, social chairman, and a repeat recipient of the Sexton Scholarship. He was also a select side player, being selected for the Mid-South Selects. He graduated in 1987 with a degree in agriculture, and after graduation that year, he toured New Zealand and Australia with the Tennessee Long Rifles during their infamous 1987 World Cup tour. And after that tour, he stayed down in New Zealand, starting off his international play where he hooked up with St. Michael's RFC in Rotorua, New Zealand for 6 months. He soon returned to the States, played a couple years with Nashville and Knoxville before going back to UT and joining in 1989, where he joined the Army ROTC and once again began playing for UT before graduating for the second time in 1991 with a commission in the U.S. Army as a second lieutenant. And it was in the Army that he began to travel all over the world, where he began to play and represent UT wherever he was stationed. He turned out for Augusta, Georgia RFC, the Seoul Survivors in South Korea, where he also captained the side, the Berlin, Germany Rugby Club, Fort Bragg RFC, where he was stationed while becoming a Green Beret. Through his outstanding play while with Fort Bragg, Bob was selected for the Combined Services Team, a select side open to every branch of the military. He continued playing for Kadena Rugby Football Club in Okinawa, Japan, where he also did some coaching. While stationed at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, Bob played for the Kansas City Blues, which were in the Super League at the time, which was the top league in the United States and a precursor of Major League Rugby. While stationed at the U.S. Embassy in Bangkok, and yes, Bob did become humble, he played rugby with the Southerners Sports Club. While stationed in Afghanistan, he managed to meet up with expats from all over the world, from the various rugby-playing countries for games of touch. He played in Mali and again in Germany with Stuttgart before moving back to Fort Bragg and playing with the Southern Pines RFC. He played his last game of rugby in Bangkok in 2017, 34 years after walking onto the field at Fulton Bottoms. He has played rugby in the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, Thailand, Germany, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Laos, and Mali. He played against teams that included All Blacks and Springboks in their lineups. During this time, Bob rose to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel before retiring from the Green Berets in 2014. He now enjoys life training future Green Berets, maybe doing some farming, and hanging out and hoping to do some honey with the English setter pup that he recently got from fellow old boy Joe McCord. Bob is the epitome of a rugby man, always finding a rugby club wherever he goes. And he has proven himself as a great representative of UT Rugby. With that, I introduce Cowboy Bob Ball, Lieutenant Colonel, United States Army, retired.
Yeah.
I'll take my glasses off because thank you for that, Rob. I really appreciate that. It's really great to be here. Thank you, Dave. for the captain circle. I think it's a great thing for UT. You know, something to show the new players kind of where we were or where we're at now. And I appreciate it greatly. I think Scott said it well when he said, you know, to be grateful. I'm very grateful, very blessed that, you know, God has given me all the things that I have in my life, and I'm very much appreciative of that. And definitely with a grateful heart, I'm up here tonight at this great event. Gosh, it seems so long ago, you know, that I was just a player, just like y'all, and life goes by pretty fast, you know, but you learn to appreciate things as you go. And Scott, appreciate you coaching, and Kelly, you guys here, continuing the legacy on, you know. And then when I was a player here, after, you know, Marty continued to build the legacy here at UT, and it's just continuing on. And now there's a whole staff of people to do things. It's like amazing. I mean, just putting all that together is just awesome. Thank you all for that. And then I would really like to thank Butch and Rebecca. Thank you all for opening your house and home. I think you really kind of made this club a family back in that time, and I really appreciate it, all the good things that you've done. I do thank the old boys too. It's an honor to have some original members here tonight. You guys started this club. Without this club, I wouldn't be up here speaking, you know, so thank you for that, you know. And it's been a great thing. And I look at all the guys that I played with that are here tonight. It's really good to see everybody. It's very good to be here, part of this organization. So I mean, kind of three things kind of stood out to me when I was a player in the beginning of playing, and one of those was the Iris Filio Award. We used to have that, which went to the person who kind of did all the work. And I think Iris Filio was my mom. Was your mom? Yeah, she would clean the jerseys and.
She won the same award with Knoxville.
All right, excellent. Well, she's doing a lot of stuff, that gal.
She only beat on
Right. How can you follow that? But I thought it was you know, that someone would do all those things just out of the kindness of their heart. Kind of reminded me of all the people that came to the games, the parents that traveled, my parents that traveled, all the different supporters, the girlfriends, the wives who came and cheered and basically gave us a lot of encouragement. We needed that encouragement, you know, more than ever, I think, and to be able to get that was truly a blessing. The other thing was a Richard Sexton Award. I thought it was very selfless that Susan would continue to honor Richard's memory and love for the game in a scholarship, which I was a benefit of, and which was a great financial. At the time, it made a big difference. So, and the last really is just kind of everything that is just the spirit of the game. I see that here with Scott. You guys, you're coaching, a whole coaching staff. You guys got some international flavor. And, you know, I would just say to the younger players, try to improve your work rate. Try to improve the courage that you take when you go in there to take a ball or go into a ruck. Listen to your coaches. Try to become more. One thing I learned throughout my career was that I could always do more, and I was the one that was limiting myself to what I could be. And when I strove to become the very best that I could be, I got a lot of blessings out of that, and life seemed to unfold for me. So I would encourage the new guys to continue to play wherever you can, and play to the highest ability that you can. So thank you all very much.
Well deserved, buddy.
Come on, Rob Barley, come on. Eagle Rob, ladies and gentlemen. Eagle Rob.
It is my pleasure to introduce the next inductee for the Captain Circle, Brian Silkwood. We had a conversation in the back with him earlier. I very seldom stick to a script, but I have promised to for this because there's a lot of things that I want to make sure we say. Brian Silkwood has a tremendous love for his faith and his family. Brian Silkwood has a tremendous love for his community. Brian Silkwood has a tremendous love for the sport of rugby, and Brian Silkwood has a tremendous love for rugby at the University of Tennessee. Brian Silkwood played for the University of Tennessee when he came out in, I believe, the spring of 1997, and then he graduated in 2001. During his playing days at Tennessee, he was a very versatile player. Played in the centers, played in the back row. He played any place we told him to play. He was a true team player and excelled at every position that he stepped on the field in. Brian played here at the University of Tennessee, and we actually had this conversation earlier today. Brian played for us when we were in the middle of an imported arms race between MTSU and Arkansas State. You old guys remember those days. And through all that, with Brian and his teammates, they always found a way to continue to compete for championships. They competed for the Mid-South Championship, which was our version of the SCRC. And then they also competed for the South Championship every year. And Brian was a two-time Mid-South All-Star, and in 2000, he helped the Mid-South win the South Championship with wins over North Carolina and Georgia. Those are All-Star teams, not clubs, with the help of several guys in the room here today. I think Rob and Scott were on that team. So, and then after graduation in 01, Brian had a quick cup of coffee with the Possums. Helped them play some rugby, and then played some good rugby for them, and then helped Jay Hawkins, who some of you know, start and coach the Seymour High School team in our first year of the Smoky Mountain Conference here in Knoxville for high school rugby. And then Brian married the love of his life, Vanessa, who is with us tonight, and they made their way to Sumner County to start a family. First came Grant, who you've seen a couple of times tonight, and then Tyler, who's also here. So if you would, Brian and his family have worked as an absolute unit of a process in everything they've done. It has been a family effort for them all the way through high school rugby and everything that's associated with what we're about to talk about that he did in Hendersonville. And so if you would, join me in recognizing his family for all of their hard work and everything they did along with Brian. Okay, so in 2011, Brian still had the rugby bug. He got a little taste of coaching when he was here, and obviously he loved the game. And so he took on the task of creating and coaching a rugby program in Sumner County. Started with high school, ended up with some girls high school, middle school, high school, and it has grown from there. Let's see. The success that he had immediately caused a problem with where are we going to play, where are we going to practice. And so he went to work looking for opportunities to build a rugby home. And he found them. After a false start or two on available property, he ended up working his magic with the city of Hendersonville. And he fundraised over $350,000 in just a matter of months and built 2 full-size rugby pitches in Hendersonville. The first matches were played in 2020. He continued his fundraising, though, and grant writing, and eventually added lights and restrooms to those fields. Everyone in this room has either played on those fields or watched a game on those fields, I can almost guarantee you. It's one of the premier rugby facilities in the East Coast, with youth, high school, college, and senior clubs all lining up for a chance to play there. For the past 20 years, Brian has been a financial advisor for UBS Wealth Management. He serves on the board of the U.S. Rugby Foundation and is an ambassador for the state of Tennessee. And in 2016, he founded a nonprofit in Sumner County that supports the families of first responders killed in the line of duty. Through the years, Brian has kept a strong connection with UT, supporting the program in numerous ways. He regularly hosts the rugby balls at the Hendersonville complex, attends UT rugby matches and events. He's been a faithful supporter of the Volunteer Rugby Foundation and the Robertson Endowment. Brian Silkwood has a tremendous love for faith in his family. Brian Silkwood has a tremendous love for his community. Brian Silkwood has a tremendous love for the sport of rugby. And Brian Silkwood has a tremendous love for rugby at the University of Tennessee. It is with great honor I introduce such a good and faithful servant for induction into the Captain's Circle. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Silkwood.
I'm using that one when I talk in public to need papers to help me out. I talk in public quite a bit. I'm usually in conversations about something that's very single-minded. Tonight there's a lot of things that come to mind for me. Talk about passion, talk about the future, talk about rugby in general. And I felt it's probably best to put a little bit in words ahead of time, so if I slow down, hesitation, please stick with me. My rugby career began somewhat in a rebellious note. When I was in high school, I was somewhat what my people call a late bloomer. 9th grade, I was 5 foot, nothing. 100 pounds, nothing. I was not a beast. I was more of a twig in 9th grade. Fast forward to high school or college. Moved outside the state, West Virginia. I grew up in West Virginia. Moved to Tennessee, University of Tennessee. Went to play rugby for University of Tennessee as a rebellious note. I was not allowed to play football when I was a kid. Parents wouldn't allow it. I was 18. I thought, I don't need them to tell me what to do. I'm going out. My first game ever. This is ironic. A very small town west of Knoxville called Rugby, Tennessee. We were to scrimmage Ohio State that day, and we were having a nonprofit organization, the Rugby Volunteer Fire Department, was hosting us for a game. I pull up, riding with one of my other teammates, looking around, what's going on? We pulled up to a cow pasture. That leads to why rugby fields are important. Our first match, my parents came down. Very supportive parents. When I got there, literally they were finishing up cutting down trees, putting up the goalposts with ropes. They were lashing the goalposts together as we pulled up. My mom and dad came, watched the game. Needless to say, they were extremely supportive, but were a little curious what this young man was figuring out. This first day went very interesting. Let me see, sports medicine has changed drastically. In our era, there was not linear rucking, okay? We played rucking as two people combined, and we're gonna come through together, and we're gonna just batter random ourselves through their team. What ends up happening is you end up with 4 to 6 players from each side, all kind of sandwiched together like a triple-decker cheeseburger. That's what happens in the ruck. I happened to be on the bottom of it. I found myself down there in the first half, and something happens in my ear. There's a finger in my ear. I'm like, what the heck is going on? A player from their team yanked my ear. I go running out, blood squirting, part of my ear's dangling. I run the sidelines. Butch wasn't concerned. One of their players taped me up with pre-wrap, what I thought was 100-mile-an-hour duct tape. And Butch says, "Silkwood, get back in there." No remorse for hearing, loss of hearing, whether my ear would be detached or reattached. All that in my first game at the University of Tennessee here at rugby. There are many things I'd like to say tonight. Coaching is one of the biggest things that I've enjoyed the most. Behind every strong coach, there's a strong spouse behind him. I'm blessed to have Vanessa, my love, behind me all these years, putting up with everything I do. And she's been a big part of the success of the program that I built at Summit County. For coaching, it's a way for me to build the game. It's a way for me to make connections. But I'd say coaching my sons as they grew up was a tremendous thing. And then seeing my coaches coach my son is something that's extremely special and hard to relate to. I also have those kids that are a little rebellious, hard to relate to, hard to understand. We have one that was supposed to be here tonight, came through my program. Many of y'all may know a guy named Josh Shetland. The first week he came to one of my practices. He comes hot rodding in here on this crotch rocket, 9th grade, just blaring through, going to practice, tried to stop, whoop, laid it down. I knew right then, I was like, man, I'm dealing with somebody else on this one. Right there. As a coach, my wife and I, the other people on our program at Sumner, we have taken kids on their first airplane ride. We have taken kids the first time they've been past Mississippi. We have one kid, we're still unclear, but said it was his first time out of the state of Tennessee. Coaching is extremely important to me. Winning is important, but growing the kids up is the most important thing that matters to me the most. I think this program, when you think of coaches, you think of Butch, you think of Marty. We've had 40-some plus years of coaches that have dedicated their lives to this program. Unpaid, put their own treasures and talents into this program. I would ask how many of you all think that we will find 2 more unicorns like Butch and Marty in the future. You heard Marty talk about the Butch Robertson Scholarship Endowment. Scott, thank you for being the first person to be part of the paid program here at University of Tennessee. But I do want many of y'all to understand that that endowment takes money for it to be something that lives beyond a conversation we have in this room. So part of what I worked on a little bit tonight, ahead of tonight, is that I'm looking for 6 people tonight that'd be willing to donate $5,000 over a 5-year period. That's $1,000 a year. And then I have people outside of University of Tennessee Rugby that will match that $30,000. If we can get more than that, I may be able to find more. I just scratched the surface with 30. But we have a 48-hour period. I have commitments for anything I can get signed for the next tonight, tomorrow, that will match the donations that we're trying to prove tonight to go to the Butch Robertson Foundation. I do a lot of things for rugby. I'm very thankful for everything I've built. I'm very thankful for everything, but I'm telling you, this program, if it wants to continue with the success we've had, that endowment, in my opinion, is by far one of the most important things to make this thing forward. So, thanks again for being inducted in this captain circle. I'm sorry I went off script. Nowhere near did any of this work out that I planned. And for all the old boys, the young bucks say we're going to Cool Beans tonight, and we will see everybody there post this night. If you have questions about the foundation, the endowment, please see me, Marty, Butch, Matt Newhart. We're all happy to help you out. We're happy to tell you more about it. But I do think everybody understands we've got to continue this program. Thanks so much.
I don't know if I should fool with this thing or not. Okay. When I first met this individual, dare I say it, more than 30 years ago, I was struck by what I would characterize. Okay.
Thank you.
How's that sound? Okay. Start over? All right. Fair enough. There will be consequences. When I first met this individual, dare I say it, 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago, I was struck by what I would characterize as his confident attitude. Others may have described him differently, arrogant, son of a, but perhaps using, I've lost my place. Perhaps using confidence was a way I would prefer. After all, in the early 90s, there weren't any high school programs here in Tennessee. So an individual who had any sort of expertise or experience was a unique and welcome addition to any program, and we were no exception. I'm not sure what his expectations were about UT Rugby, but I'm confident that when he came to understand that we were serious about what we were doing, we had some knowledge of the game, and we firmly believed in conditioning. As you might have expected, given his background, he very quickly became recognized as an outstanding player and an important contributor to our on-the-field successes. These contributions resulted in him being awarded a Sexton Scholarship and being elected a team captain. It was in that role that his demands for commitment to to consistent, outstanding performance on the field for both himself and his teammates really stood out. He did not hesitate to challenge his teammates when they were not performing to the best of their abilities. There were actually times when I had to calm him down so I could say what I wanted to say. That excellence in performance was recognized by others as well. He was selected for the Midwest Collegiate All-Stars for 3 years and captained the side one of those years. He participated in All-American trials 1 year and was elected to the All-American side the next year in 1995. He participated with the Mid-South International Touring side in matches in New Zealand in 1995, along with another fellow UT teammate and Captain Circle member, Tyler Husky. Upon graduation, he returned to Washington, D.C., where he became a fixture on the starting side of the Washington Rugby Club. At one point in his playing career, he had a good fortune to find himself playing alongside another familiar UT player named Dave Codevilla. He captained Washington for several years and was captain both of the Mid-Atlantic 15s and 7 sides, a testament to his versatility as a player. When his playing days were over, he took up the coach's whistle first with the women's side from Georgia, Washington, and then with the Maryland Stingers. During the stint with the Stingers, he initially was forwards coach and then head coach, leading them to a national title. He also spent a brief period of time working with the men from James Madison. His successes on the field matched by his successes off the field. He is a principal RER Solutions, a consulting firm that provides real estate and financial services to government entities. In that role, with that organization, he has served for the last 8 years as the principal advisor on base housing for the United States Army, including 87,000 residences, 13,000 hotel rooms, and more than 3,000 apartment units, both foreign and domestic installations. If that isn't enough to keep him busy, he also participated in Masters CrossFit competitions from 2011 to 2018. He participated in the World Series of Poker, and he spent 2 years managing a mineral mine in Sierra Leone. I'm sure that he has some wonderful and unique stories to tell us about those experiences. It is my distinct honor to welcome Jason Calavacos into the Captain's Circle.
Wow. So I would be remiss to obviously thank Bush for such a welcoming introduction to all of you all. Some of you who I know and many, many, many that I do not. I take that on me. As a player here from 1990 to 1995, I've made attempts to come back and participate, but obviously life and other things interfere at times. But I do commit to all of you guys, young and old, that this is an amazing event. And participation in this event is fantastic. And we should all endeavor to participate when absolutely humanly possible. So I will make that promise to continue to try to participate and come to these events and any other events that are out there. It's an interesting deal. I'm not usually a speech writer. I did actually prepare a full formal speech in response to this after talking to Butch for the several weeks. But before I get into that, I feel like it's inappropriate to say a couple words about several individuals that are associated here. First, the alumni led by John Shaw, Bill Yamaha Peterson, Bobby Hampstead, and others. Guys, for all of y'all that don't know, they're Tennessee rugby guys. That's what it's about. They're the lifeblood. It's been 1990 when they were all still here, and I was playing, and they were still there. Every one of them still present, still offering their homes, welcoming everybody here. Don't minimize that. Don't take advantage of that. That's precious. That's amazing that somebody has committed their life to the success and the furthering of this club and this game that we all love. I give a full round of applause, and I wish everybody would stand and cheers to this group, our alumni group, what they've done, what they continue to do, how they continue to look in the future and support the club in the future. It's second to none, and they deserve all of our congratulations and appreciation. So thank you guys, really, 100%. Second, I'd like to, while I never played underneath Marty Bradley, never played underneath him, actually was a competitor, competed against him many a game. After I graduated and Marty came in and Butch brought Marty into the fold, what you've done, how you've complimented Butch and others, and how we've seen this club, this team, advance from where it was when I was here is amazing. Your dedication, your organization, your forethought, how you approached everything, you kept the core of what this alumni appreciates in a club, and you've only excelled it. You've only accentuated it. It's only grown. And that's been seen by the success of the club, the success of the individual players on the club. We'll talk about this later, but I duly appreciate Butch bringing up, accolades that I may or have achieved. But I was just the beginning of a long line of accolades that these teammates and players have accomplished, and you all will continue to accomplish if you follow the lead of these people. It's an impressive thing, and it's not really done across this country in this capacity. So you should cherish that. So Marty, thank you very much for your dedication when you came on, how you grew us, how you organized this team, and how you took us to this level to where we sit here today. Without Butch, without the alumni, without Marty, we would not be here where we are today. And all of us need to thank Marty for all of that. Actually, it's duly appreciated, and it's recognized from people that you don't know it's recognized from. We do realize it. So everybody, thanks Marty for that. And lastly, I feel like I have to have a comment here. While he's not here, Mr. David Codavilla, many of you, some of you know, many of you don't, a very random, completely obscure situation where I grew up, I came to this school, I played here, I had successes. I moved back home to Washington to play for Washington Rugby Club. It happened to be that David Codavilla moved from Cal Berkeley and took a job in Washington, D.C. And we recruited him, and he played with me as my teammate for several years at the start of the U.S. Premier League. He helped as president, as I was captain of Washington. We were very close friends, combatants, you name it. And when I heard that he moved down here and started working for TVA, and Butch and Marty told me that he came in to coach, unbeknownst to me, my heart was full, because this is a person that I bled with on the field, who I value extremely high as an individual, as a person, as a rugby player. And I would believe, and I feel like you all can validate this, but the contributions that he's made to Tennessee rugby and the experiences that he provided has only taken the forward pack and everybody else to another whole level. And I had a personal relationship with this man before that, and I'm very sad to see that he has to step back and pursue other things. But I know him very well. I know he follows what you do. I know he follows the outcomes. I know he would be here if he could be. And you should know this, he's a top 5 guy. So I you know, if he's not here, but hopefully he will listen or see this. Thank you very much for what you've given to my college team. I couldn't be more proud and happier that actually occurred. So I'll get a round of applause for Mr. Colville and all that he's given. So, sorry, I'm getting old, so I have to have reading glasses too, so it's just one of those things. So I prepared some remarks, and first of all, let me tell everybody here, it's 30 some odd years. This is a complete and utter honor that I'm here standing at this podium with you all tonight. Being inducted to the Captain's Circle, i.e. the Hall of Fame, is something I never thought, I never knew existed when I was here playing. Never ever thought about it, never ever considered it. But make no mistake, it'll be cherished for the rest of my life. This club, this sport has given me more attributes, more things than I could ever describe to anyone here in a single conversation, much less on a podium here. I want to thank Butch for his introduction, for his comments. You know, as Butch said, I came here, I played 2 years in high school rugby, and I'm not gonna lie, he was very nice. I was cocky asshole, okay? I was arrogant. I knew more than everybody else when I walked on the pitch, and I had, you know, the coaching and the experience of playing with Washington, who trained me before I came into college as a high school player. 100% did. But you know what? Which taught me first and foremost, humility. He didn't give a shit. We cut through that line pretty quick. You know, what you taught me, and you don't know this, but in experiences, you know, when you fill out graduate applications to graduate programs, when you talk in interviews to job opportunities and they ask about your historical experiences and all those things, Butch is one of my experiences. What this man taught me in the 5 years that I played underneath him, I couldn't replace. The humility, the criticism, but yet support, the confidence, the drive, all of that he produced into me resulted in my successes, not just in rugby, not just as a Tennessee rugby player, but after college, in business, in clients, in leadership, and you'll hear this, you know, as we go on. This is what rugby is. Rugby's not easy. It's a hard sport. It's a really, really hard sport. It's demanding. It's challenging you physically, mentally, emotionally. It's going to push you to the limits. But what happens is the perseverance makes you who you are, makes you successful in life, and makes you move through those difficult times, no matter what they are. Fall back on what you've experienced, what you've done. That's what it's all about. And Butch is I can't thank you enough for guiding me through those times. They weren't easy. There was times when I was playing for the Midwest, and I would, not be selected, not go through. Butch didn't know it. I didn't talk to him openly about it, but it was words of encouragement to keep pushing, to keep trying, and just to drive me to get better. Those things are immeasurable, and it's really important, and I hope that all of us. I also, I can't forego, giving credit to a coach that, came into our team, I guess, midway through, Butch, probably my tenure, Mike Jockman. I know he's not here today. He's a forwards coach. He was an Eagle. He played for the Pittsburgh Harlequins with many other Eagles. He moved down and relocated, and he came on as coaching the forward pack. I owe this man a tremendous amount. Between him and Butch, they expanded my capabilities, my ability in the game of rugby, more than anybody that I've ever met before. Butch very much on a general philosophical drive, confidence, head coach aspect. Jocko on a technical aspect. He was a prop. He was a nasty, good technical prop, and he passed it on to us. And what that created was the next group that I'm gonna give thanks to. My teammates in general, everybody who I played with, Greg Broyles, Doug, Weldon, Bob Ball, others that are not here, and those that I may have forgotten. In particular, my front row teammates, Tyler Husky, Ghassan Kassira, Jonathan Pledger. For those of you who don't know, you probably get it, I was a little bit cocky, and I wasn't afraid to talk a little trash on the field. As a hooker, when you have two guys next to you and a bunch of guys behind you, you kind of feel empowered. But you know what? That empowerment was because we were that good. And our coaching staff and our dedication made us that way. And we owned people. We were feared. They were scared of us. And I happened to be the one that let them know that on the pitch. It's the way it is. They can attest to it. But you know what? We lived up to everything that I said. And I owe all of my teammates for that. They had my backs. They had my back. I could say anything, and anybody would have my back. And that's what camaraderie is. That's what teammates are. That's what rugby is. Yeah, I put them all on the line. I put every single one of them on the line. I put their bodies on risk, their hearts at risk, but they all had my back. And when we were challenged, we knocked them all back. We're talking teams like Ohio State. We're talking teams up in Washington, D.C. at the Cherry Blossom Tournament. They hated us. They freaking hated us. We're talking Miami of Ohio, who had All-American front row. We put their face in the dirt, but we told them we were going to do it beforehand. And they hated it. But we beat the crap out of them. Right? But that's a tribute to you. This honor isn't about me in any way, shape, or form. And I don't want you to think this. I've had amazing successes. I owe it to all of you guys. I owe it to Butch. I owe it to the alumni. I owe it to Jocko. I owe it to my teammates. This is for you guys. And I honor you, and I owe you more than words can express. So, I duly want that to be understood. This isn't about my attributes, my accolades. This is about my teammates, and you all are the ones that got me to where I am today. To the current players, you guys, wherever you guys are, because I don't know many of you, and that's my fault. Listen up. The game's not easy. It's not supposed to be, right? That's the whole point of the game. The hard path is the right path. There's no shortcuts. There's no easy ways. You can't cut corners. You can't stop short when you're running suicides. You can't run the hill and stop early, right? That's not how it is. You'll be tested in every day, every practice, every training, every game, physically, emotionally, mentally. And yes, there are going to be days where you're at Fulton Bottoms, that's where we were, God forbid, that you'll be running hills, hill after hill, until the sun goes down. And you will question whether your coach has a soul. 100% you will. Yes, there's a little bit of undertone to that, because that may have been said by somebody. But you know what? That's where your growth lives. That's where you develop. At that time, that's who separates the men from the boys. That's who separates success from failure, is when you are at night, when you're so exhausted you can't move. But you know what? You go up to the top of that hill, and you get your butt back down, and you go back up again. That's what it takes. That's what rugby is. And to be perfectly honest with you, that's what life is. Look at the world we live in today. If you're going to quit, you're not going to make it. Sorry, I hate to cut it to you. That's the truth. Perseverance is what matters in life. You've got to dig through. So rugby will teach you how to take a hit and how to push yourself back off the ground and get up and go again. It'll teach you how to lead, how to follow, how to serve, how to win with integrity and lose with dignity, right? But every ounce of pain, every bead of sweat, everything you do, it's all for success. It's all for the next step, and it's all for your development. So, as I would say, embrace the suck. It's at your hands. It's in your control, no one else's. Everybody else here, alumni, coaches, you know that, we're just here to support you and push you, but it's got to be your own decision. Trust yourselves, trust your teammates, trust your brothers. There are teammates that are here, there are teammates that are not here. There are teammates that I talk to regularly, there are teammates that I don't see or talk to for weeks and months. But when we do see each other, when we do talk, it's like we talked yesterday. That's a brotherhood. That's what it's about. And so don't leave anything to decide. Determine your own future. Determine this team's future. You know, don't settle for second place. You know, so after all of that, that's my words of advisement. But to sum it up and not talk for too long, I'm extremely appreciative of this. I thank all of my teammates, the organization, for honoring me. I will truly cherish this. And thank you very much. And I hope we move on. Let's have some drinks.
Logan, if you'll come up and announce silent auction winners, and particularly one who has a letter to really read.
All right. Those of you who won, I have confirmed you should have a text or an email, so I'm not even going to announce the names. So please pay, come find me in the back, and I'll get you your stuff. It's that simple. All right. What? Get out of here. All right, we do have one of these has a letter. So Jason Richards, can you please come up here? You won an item. Is he here? Oh, there you go. And you have to read this out loud at the event by the highest bidder. So,
Great.
I have no idea what it says.
Yeah. Maybe you're right. Hello, I'm Jason Richards. First off, before I read this glorious note, first on behalf of the old boys from the University of Memphis State University, it was funny when I saw Jason, I was like, he looked so familiar, and it was because, like Marty, we competed back in the Mid-South days, and West Tennessee would meet East Tennessee, meet Middle Tennessee, and Vanderbilt, which if you've ever played rugby on Vanderbilt's intramural fields, it's like playing on carpet. It is just the best thing ever. But hats off to Silky. Wow. I mean, we stand in awe. This state probably produces more high school rugby players because of guys like Brian Silkwood. Others in Memphis, all over this state, including people like Jay Hawkins in Knoxville. So cannot say thank you enough for everything you do for your families. My wife and I were talking last night. When these awards are given, it's not necessarily recognizing us, it's recognizing our families. So Vanessa, the boys, the time that you allow Brian to do what he does, Jason's family, for allowing him to do everything he does. First off, I'd like to offer a round of applause to the families. Last comment is I noticed all the new guys were around pretty much one table. It's awesome. It's just awesome to see these alumni, to hear these stories. This is what we aspire to be. This is what we aspire to be. So with that being said, a letter from John McKay. Permission to read this verbatim.
Should have turned the camera off. You are on the internet.
All right, well, that's me. To the lucky son of a bitch who bought this. Open me and the bottles and immediately share a dream with both Marty and Butch. If you're like me, these two had a large impact on who you are as a man, as a competitor, as a person. Then share or don't share with anyone else, because honestly, forget them. They didn't outbid you for these, so they can't get bent. Best, John Montana McKee, UT Rugby, 1997, 1990.
I'm going to go a little off script here because I know John has the closing remarks, and John and I are the people standing between a lot of people in this room and Cool Beans. And Cool Beans has a long line these days, so we'll make it quick. One thing we did a good job last year was celebrating the 04 team, the first team from the University of Tennessee to make the Sweet 16. For those of you who don't know, back in the day there was no D1A, D1AA, D1 Club, NCR, CRAA, Alphabet Super College Rugby these days. It was just one Division I. The 04 team was the first team from UT to ever make the Sweet 16. And I'd be remiss to say if we don't celebrate the 05 team, because the 05 team beat Dartmouth in the first round. And they played Cal on day 2, back when it was a 2-day tournament. They were a top 8 team in the country. All respect to Bibb, Beacom, all these guys that were seniors tonight that were on that 2021 team that beat Bowling Green State University to win a national championship, but you didn't play Cal. In my personal opinion, mostly because my high school head coach was on that 05 team, and he's half the reason I came to the University of Tennessee. Also, 1998 was a good year. But Josh P. was the main reason I came to the University of Tennessee to play college rugby here. And he was on that 05 team. They were a top 8 team in the country, my personal opinion. Top 8, playing Cal. 05 team is the greatest team in the history of the University of Tennessee. I would ask those guys, if you're in this room, if you're on the 05 team, please stand up to be recognized. If we have anyone. So I'll take that as a note that as a current coach and program manager of this team, we need to do a better job of recognizing those teams that set the foundation we're walking in. I came to the University of Tennessee in spring 2010 because of Josh B. Guys like that set the foundation for me as a player and the players that come after me. One thing I'll add to that is college rugby's changed a lot since the 05 team. Back then we got by on Butch and Marty as pure volunteers, putting blood, sweat, and tears into this program. Since then, it's evolved. I remember being a freshman in the spring of 2010 when guys like Benji Goff took us to the first ever CRCs and finished top 10 in the country in sevens. Since then, D1 and D1AA have split off. College rugby's changed a lot these days. There's 3 different organizations claiming national championships. The bigger thing that's changed with that is our competition, even though we are a club team and play club teams, the club game has changed. South Carolina has a full-time head coach. They're recruiting internationally. They're getting kids in state tuition. Clemson has a full-time head coach. Kentucky has a full-time head coach. One other thing I'd like to highlight, as John Shaw pointed out to me earlier today, 1982 was the first time the University of Tennessee ever beat Vanderbilt University. And Marty, correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't lost to them since before 2000. Yeah. One little fun fact I'll drop on you. We're trying to raise for the Robertson Endowment. Having met with alumni at Vanderbilt, having gone home over the past year to visit my dad, who, side note, almost had a heart attack, had a bypass surgery. Candidly, I almost moved home in the past year to be there for my dad. The main reason I say Knoxville is for this team. We're fighting tooth and nail to make a full-time salary for our head coach. We're at what, $250,000 in our endowment? Vanderbilt University, who haven't lost to in this century, will hit $1 million in their endowment this summer. And we're at $250,000. I will say this to the alumni, we need to step up, because Scott Tongue puts his blood, sweat, and tears into this team. He works a full-time job outside of this and still pours into these guys. Scott is the guy that can get us there. Let's get behind him. Let's go full-time with this guy. I will, if push comes to shove, I will give up my position. The $1,000 I make a month will go to Scott. We need to do that for the sake of the program, us as old boys. It is time to step up and push UT Rugby to the top of the sphere. Good is the enemy of great. And UT Rugby for a long time has been great. We've beaten Dartmouth, we've beaten Penn State, we've beaten Ohio State, we beat Army in double overtime in 2008. Let's get back to that, and let's do it behind Scott.
Plenty of food for thought and discussion, and on that note, we adjourn tonight's festivities. If you are over a certain age and you're not going to go to Cool Beans, we're proposing just to go upstairs to the bar and continue a more sedate visitation. Thank you all.